Alright, economics video. I'll make this short, I hope. Just kind of reacting to Nick's video. Nick, the Modern Mystic, did a video where he basically said, well, it's time to stop talking economics and just talk, I don't know, conspiracy theory and catastrophe management or something. I don't know. Personal catastrophe management. I don't even know if that's what he was saying. You know. So he even brought up the name Alex Jones, which I think is sort of an embarrassment, just because that guy's gotten so wacky now. He's talking like the rich are trying to impose socialism on us, and he's worried about them killing our babies. You know, it's part of their conspiracy, I guess, is they're going to kill everybody through abortions. You see, that's his big worry. Yeah, the rich love poor people. They love having a bunch of extra people in the world. They're not going to be pro-responsible birth control. But anyway, so fuck that guy. You know, people get all hysterical with these numbers. Oh, they're going to put 20,000. I think even Tommy from the Bronx brought up 20,000 troops on. It doesn't add up to shit. I mean, that's, you know, what, 4 soldiers, you know, within 30 square miles of me. Yeah, I don't think 4 soldiers are going to be able to take on the hordes. So, yeah, I don't see that as a huge threat either. But whatever, everybody has their own stuff, you know, their own way of looking at things. So anyway, I still don't know when and how. You know, the whole thing's gonna, you know, like I'm the oracle. Wrong. I still haven't made my guess yet to figure out how long there's going to be deflation till inflation just wipes the dollar out. But yeah, I mean, this whole thing doesn't have to happen. Somebody actually posted that comment in Nick's board. I mean, there's all a lot of stupid comments, but there was one rational comment, well, half rational. The guy kind of pointed out that, yeah, there's nothing really wrong. I mean, everything's in place. We could still have an economy. It doesn't all have to go to hell. It doesn't have, you know, cholera or something. I mean, it doesn't have smallpox. There's no... The only disease is in how it's all funded and who owns it. It's an ownership problem, you know, and that's the bottom line. And so far, the politics has decided that the debt holders are going to be saved, and you know, the people who own the debt and the people in debt are going to be thrown to the lions, so to speak. And so through that equation, yeah, that's going to be doom. Unemployment will keep rising, and yes, we'll have to be more productive. But we're sort of Americans, and we're not going to, I don't think they're going to be able to extract, you know, Chinese worth ethics out of Americans. I don't see it happening anyway. Because there has to be some sort of huge productivity, but we have to pay back 3 times our net what we have produced, you know, as individuals. I suppose you could take it all the way down to the individual level and say somehow you're going to have to, you know, produce 3 times the value of your net production throughout your life so far. But anyway, to pay back what we owe, and so you're going to have 3 jobs, productive jobs, and they can't be stupid, you know, idiotic jobs. They have to actually be constructive and productive. That's part of the whole problem here, is when all this wealth ends up getting consolidated, it ends up getting spent in very bad ways. So instead of consumption, national consumption being built around infrastructure that we all use, instead of us consuming by buying internet or cable or some other thing that we all use, the money will start being spent on the private satellite dish, or the, you know, the thing, this private swimming pool, the thing that we gain no social benefit from. And so the only jobs are going to be doing very unproductive labor, and we're going to be competing with each other, you know, to who can go the lowest to get even those jobs. And so yeah, it's but none of it has to happen if we just pick a different side to win and just say, yeah, well, we're gonna let the workers win. You know, then we don't have a problem. But that's going to mean that we're going to have to forgive a lot of debt, and I'm even uncomfortable with that. I mean, I'm poor, but I've never been in debt, and so I sort of resent people who have done all this reckless consuming, because they're the ones that basically have turned us from a nation that lends money to a nation that borrows money, and that's I suppose if you're going to look at one thing, you could say, yeah, well, that was the sign. You know, when we went from being a nation that lends money to other countries to a nation that borrows money from other countries, that was the sign of the looming end. There's no countries come back from that. They all have to go through some horror to get through that. And in the third, it's always been in the third world, generally speaking. And yeah, well, it's a lot easier for them, just because, you know, they only go from like, you know, wooden shoes to, I don't know, grass or leaf shoes. You know, so the downgrade isn't as substantial. I mean, we're going from, you know, high life to some kind of third world life. It's not going to get, it wouldn't be pretty in this country, is all I'm saying. So, but that's the political decision, and I guess the question I'll throw out there is, what is the solution? I mean, in my opinion, what has to be done is we just have to make sure, you see, the rich will take off. They did it in the South American countries. I mean, as soon as everything starts going to hell, they'll take off, okay, and they'll take their money with them. And so there'll be some nation out there that will be the refuse of the rich. And that economy will do fine. There'll be lots of jobs for people to, you know, polish the asses of the rich people. And so some small nation will do very well through this crisis because it will consolidate a lot of wealth. And the decision we have to make is, are we going to let people do that? We're going to let them take real dollars with them. And so that's sort of where I say, yeah, let's just cut it off. Let's only allow people to hold money in certain places, like a bank or some other institution. And if it's any place else, well, then it's going to be taxed at, you know, 90% or some other number, just to get rid of all this IOU crap. Screw it. We can sacrifice the rich. They're not the productivity of our nation. People keep thinking they do something valuable, but they really don't do anything. All they do is pull strings. You know, completely unproductive labor. It's not productive labor to decide between crooked business A and crooked business B to finance. I mean, that's not productive labor. It's just selfish. If people act in self-interest, well, then it's all short-term gains over long-term best interest and all of that crap. So, 7 minutes, didn't intend that. So anyway, yeah, if you think there's some way we can survive this, I'd also be interested in hearing that survival strategy, because the amount of money we owe is such a burden, and especially if interest rates inevitably have to go up. How could it ever be paid back? I mean, how could we ever pay back the money? And anybody if you're a slave to debt, it just buries you. It sucks up so much of, it's like the amount of money, you know, in taxes we could end up paying to just to finance the national debt. We could end up paying $1 trillion a year. I mean, half the revenue coming in could go to debt service. You can't live under that burden. So what future does America have if it doesn't get rid of this debt? So what's the strategy to do that? I say we can sacrifice the rich.